It's still so surreal to me to get up on these stages, to meet people and say that I'm a hero, because I don't feel like that. I mean, I feel like we were just at a point where we had enough and somebody had to do something. And I remember writing a speech years before this when I was doing some advocacy for the oil and gas sector that I worked in at the time. And it was all about, you know, somebody has to do something. I'm sorry. I waited for somebody to do something. I waited for somebody to do something because I was like, surely somebody's going to do something. Like the doctors are going to say something, law enforcement's going to say something, a judge, somebody's got to do something, and nobody was doing it. And I am that somebody, and you are that somebody. Chris Barber is that somebody, you know? And so, yes, and that's literally all it takes. It's one phone call. I am also very lucky. I have fantastic children. My 8-year-old grandson thinks I'm famous because I sing in a cover band, which is really cute. You know, but I'm so blessed. I just feel like I'm so blessed. You know, there's a lot of things that happen. Going to court is not pleasant. Getting yelled at by hecklers isn't pleasant. Which God only knows we've gone through a fair share of that. We were heckled by a hooker on a tricycle.
We were.
This is where we're at now.
And I was told by my lawyers that I am not to engage and I am supposed to remain silent, which just killed me internally. I had to blow her a kiss, though. Anyways, I just feel like I'm so blessed. I get to come here, I get to talk to people, and then that is really what this is all about. This is about your stories, which is why we did what we did. You know, and all the people that came together, there was a core group of truckers, some of us supporters, you know, and I remember even when I started that GoFundMe campaign, I thought, you know, maybe we'll raise like 20 grand, which, you know, my really horrible accounting skills could probably manage. I thought these guys would just drive across the country, you know, I don't know, 20 trucks maybe, and get out with a little sign in front of Parliament Hill and turn around and come home. And within 24 hours of starting that GoFundMe campaign, Canadians had donated over $125,000. And I knew that it was just started to blow up from there. And then driving across Canada, we were raising, like, Canadians were donating $1 million a day. A day. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll never forget leaving my farmyard at 6 o'clock in the morning. My wife videoed me leaving, and we were meeting at the Co-op Cardlock in Swift Current, and a group of us were going to then convoy to Medicine Hat to pick up Miss Tamara. And coming around the corner and seeing 50 semis in that little Co-op Cardlock, and then us going all the way to Medicine Hat to meet an even bigger group of people. And the big thing for me when we left Medicine Hat, the Red Cliff truck stop, was knowing that we had traffic control at every intersection when we were leaving Medicine Hat. And that was the sign where it was this is real, this is here.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we definitely endeavored to do right off the bat, was to contact all the local law enforcement agencies of the communities that we knew that we were going to be going through. So, I mean, and we had great experiences with all of them. The OPP were amazing. The RCMP in Saskatchewan, the Medicine Hat City Police were fantastic.
Swift Current, Saskatchewan was the worst. They said, obey the signs. I asked for traffic control at the one intersection we needed, and they said, good luck, don't break any rules.
Yeah. So we were so fortunate to deal with so many great law enforcement agencies. The Ottawa City Police Service is definitely not on that list.
But they were up until then. We did have good experiences with OPS right throughout the convoy. It was closer to the end when you watched those officers you dealt with for 3 weeks kind of withdrawal. And then you watch a different group of people come in. Those people were the goons, not representative law enforcement today.
And the crazy thing about it, and you know, Ezra talked a little bit about this, was the narrative that the government was trying to set with the help of the mainstream media.
So I don't know if you followed the inquiry or even some of our trial, but there's been a lot of really fantastic evidence that came out. And one of the things that we learned very early on at the POEC was there's a whole text exchange between Marco Mendicino's office and I can't remember if it's a mainstream media organization anyways, already talking about setting up the narrative of who we were. And that was before I even shook this guy's hand. We've been profiled.
We have been.
We've been profiled. That's so crazy. And then getting into this trial, I mean, I think we should probably become honorary lawyers at this point.
Or citizens of Ottawa.
Yeah.
We have been in court, I believe it's 44 days. There's been countless Zoom trials from the comfort of our homes. I added the days up where we've been traveling or been stuck in Ottawa. It's been 104 days in the last 12 months. We've been essentially gone from home, unable to work, stuck in Ottawa through weekends or waiting for another day of trial. I've driven 4 times. You've driven 5?
More.
More?
4 or 5 or 6.
I've flown once. We've been there 5 different times.
I think it's just under 40,000 clicks we've put on. Yeah, both of us.
I miled my wife's car out, and I've also got some miles on my pickup too.
Yeah. It's a long drive, but it's a beautiful drive.
It is a gorgeous city, and if you've ever spent any time around Ottawa, it's become kind of home. We've got a group of people that support us quite well there. We're very thankful for that. We're very active, involved the Bikers Church when we're there. Yes. They were very, very active throughout the convoy, making sure those truckers who were essentially dumped off on the city limits in the frigid temperatures with no ride back into town. The Bikers Church came through for them, made sure people had warm vehicles to climb into and then be taken back to the church where they were cared for.
That's right. Yeah, it was amazing. But again, I mean, that's what it was all about. It was about community. That's how I was born and raised in Saskatchewan. And I always thought, that's why, because, where I lived, we had to depend on community. I mean, I remember living in the country where if we had a blizzard, we didn't get out of our yard. And my parents there's 6 kids in my family. They weren't all alive at that point, but as I've gotten to drive across Canada and talk to so many people, this is what is so great about it, is that every single province and even different areas in the same province are so different. They have different lifestyles, maybe a different mentality, but we still have that one common thread. And I think that's what makes us Canadian, is that sense of community. And we don't want to see people hurt. We do our best to help them and raise them back up. And that's what Ottawa was. It was all these little communities in this larger community to make sure that supporters and truckers could have a hot shower, so they would have a hot meal, so they could sleep in a hotel room for a night instead of in their truck. There's the laundry service, shoveling snow, and like Ezra said, crime went down. And I mean, I've never verified this story, but I have heard from numerous sources that there was actually a trucker there that prevented an overdose while we were there. So.
Crime rate was down 90%. The streets were shoveled, the garbage was picked up, people were looked after, homeless were fed. If only for a prime minister that would have, had a conversation instead of berate and name call, it could have been a different outcome.
I wouldn't have talked to him anyways. He could have sent somebody else out. I have no desire to speak with that man. My muscles are bigger than his. So where are we at now? We have a hearing at the end of November.
26th.
So hopefully then we will have a decision. I think we should have a verdict. I'm really hoping by February.
She will give us an update on November 26th on where she's at in the decision. I did a social media post this morning, I think, talking about just how much this decision will affect any protesters going forward in Canada. We were arrested at the most peaceful protest in Canadian history without a horn in our hands and with just our voices. So this decision will go forward for left and right for future generations forever. So this is something that people should probably rally behind instead of, bury their heads in the sand like the left is doing.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think the outcome of this doesn't just affect me and it doesn't just affect Chris, but it's going to affect every single Canadian. And I do have to kind of chuckle a little bit when I get these messages from people or tweets on Twitter about how they can't wait till I go to jail and I should be in prison. And I mean, that is the single-mindedness, like that narrow-mindedness, because with one change of the government then, it could be you. So be careful what you wish for, right? There is actually a protester in Ottawa that has found out that wanted us in jail, and now she's in jail. So, I mean, it goes both ways.
Horrible to anyone that's walking in and out of the courtroom. You know, Ezra's been through this too. She has been absolutely vile, but the tables have actually turned, and she's sitting in remand right now, which is unfortunate, but still, it does go both ways.